Growing up, I was always the family's disappointment. My older sister, Jessica, was everything I wasn't: popular, athletic, and the undeniable favorite of our parents. She excelled in everything: straight A's, captain of the volleyball team, homecoming queen, and had a full scholarship to an Ivy League school. Meanwhile, I struggled to scrape by with C's, barely managed to get into community college, and eventually dropped out to work at a local cafe. No matter how hard I worked, I couldn't measure up to the golden standard Jessica set. Our parents never tried to hide their favoritism. Dad proudly cheered at Jessica's volleyball games, but would conveniently have work emergencies when I had a school event. Mom plastered Jessica's accomplishments all over social media, while my small victories went unnoticed. For my 16th birthday, I got a used laptop, while Jessica got a shiny new car. Despite all this, I never resented Jessica. She was always kind to me when our parents weren't around. She'd help me with my homework, defend me when things got unfair, and include me in her activities when she didn't have to. I loved her, and I thought she loved me too. After college, Jessica landed a prestigious job at a financial firm, while I stayed in my small-town cafe, eventually becoming the manager. I was proud of my modest achievements, even though they paled in comparison to hers. I had found something I was good at, and I was saving up to open my own bakery one day. But then everything changed last Christmas. The whole family gathered at our parents' house for the holidays. Jessica had just gotten engaged to her boyfriend of 3 years, Ethan, a surgeon, and our parents were ecstatic. Mom couldn't stop talking about the wedding plans, and Dad had already promised to pay for the entire thing, something I knew would never happen for me if I got engaged. During dinner, Jessica showed off her new diamond necklace, a breathtaking teardrop diamond pendant on a white gold chain, worth at least $5,000. Everyone fawned over it, and Jessica let me try it on for a moment. I admired it before returning it to her. The next morning, chaos erupted. Jessica was frantic, screaming that her necklace was missing. She claimed she had left it on the dresser in her old bedroom, and now it was gone. Immediately, our parents joined in the panic, tearing through the house, searching for it. Then, in a moment that still burns in my mind, Jessica pointed at me with cold accusation. "Madison must have taken it," she declared. She was the only one who showed any interest in it last night. I was stunned. "What? I gave it back to you right away," I protested. But Jessica didn't back down. "You've always been jealous of me," she continued, her voice growing louder. "You probably thought no one would notice if you took it." Our parents didn't question her for a second. Their eyes filled with suspicion as they looked at me. I tried to explain that I hadn't stolen it, that I would never take something from her. But my words fell on deaf ears. "Maybe we should check her room and bags," Mom suggested, and of course, they found nothing. But that didn't clear my name. Jessica's accusations grew more outrageous. Maybe she's hidden it somewhere else or already pawned it. I was crushed. My own sister was painting me as a thief. "Maybe we should call the police," Mom suggested, her eyes flicking toward Jessica. That was the last straw. I stood up, grabbed my bags, and walked out the door. "I'm not staying where I'm not trusted," I said, my voice breaking. "Call the police if you want." But I didn't take anything. I spent the next week in tears, trying to make sense of it all. Jessica kept spreading her accusation to anyone who would listen. Our extended family, childhood friends, even my co-workers. Some people looked at me differently, and others stopped speaking to me altogether. I tried reaching out to Jessica, pleading for her to believe me, but she blocked my number. Our parents only called to ask if I'd reconsider confessing. It felt like my entire world was crumbling. Then, 2 weeks later, I received a call from an unfamiliar number. It was Ethan. "Madison," he said quietly, "I need to talk to you about the necklace." We agreed to meet at a coffee shop downtown. When I arrived, Ethan looked awful, disheveled, with dark circles under his eyes. "I know you didn't take the necklace," he said as soon as we sat down. I was confused. "What do you mean?" "It's gone." "How do you know I didn't take it?" Ethan took a deep breath. "Because Jessica never lost it," he said, his voice low. "It was fake. I couldn't afford a real diamond on my salary, so I bought a cubic zirconia. Jessica found out, and she was furious. She accused me of embarrassing her in front of the family. I felt a rush of disbelief. So she made up the theft to cover for herself? Ethan nodded, his expression grim. It's more complicated than that. Jessica has expensive tastes and has been pressuring me to buy her luxury items I can't afford. When she found out about the necklace, she needed a way to explain why she suddenly didn't have it anymore. I was floored. My sister, the golden child of our family, had been living a lie, and I, the one who had always been in her shadow, was the one she blamed for her deceit. I sat back in my chair, stunned as Ethan spoke. He had just dropped a bombshell. My sister, Jessica, had ruined my reputation, turned the family against me, and fabricated a story to cover up a truth so ugly it seemed impossible. She had blamed me for something I hadn't done, all to hide the fact that her precious necklace wasn't even real. Ethan's voice trembled with misery. "There's more," he added, his words heavy with the weight of his own discoveries. "I think she's been lying about other things, too. Her job, her finances. I found credit card statements showing massive debt." He paused, his expression darkening. When I confronted her, she threatened me. I couldn't grasp it. This wasn't the sister I thought I knew. It wasn't the sister I'd grown up with. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, my voice shaky. "Because I'm scared," Ethan admitted, his eyes haunted. "And because you deserve to know the truth. Jessica isn't who she pretends to be." I left that meeting with my mind spinning. If Jessica could lie about something as trivial as a necklace, what else had she lied about? My head buzzed with the possibility of how deep the deception went. I had to know more. I couldn't just sit back and let the pieces of my family's life crumble into lies. So I decided to investigate. I started with Jessica's job. I called her workplace, posing as a potential client. To my shock, they told me Jessica hadn't worked there for over 6 months. She'd been let go due to ethical concerns. Yet every day she came home, pretending to have just returned from work, spinning elaborate tales about her day, as if nothing had changed. My stomach twisted with disbelief. Next, I reached out to a mutual friend who worked at a local jewelry store. She confirmed my worst fears. Jessica had tried upon several pieces of jewelry over the past year. Items that matched the description of things our mother had reported missing, but never bothered to file a police report for, assuming they were just misplaced. The pieces of the puzzle were falling into place, each revelation darker than the last. The more I dug, the more I realized Jessica had been living a double life. The successful financial analyst was really unemployed and drowning in debt. The perfect daughter, the one who had always been everyone's golden child, was actually a thief, stealing from our mother to maintain the illusion of success. But the final revelation shattered me. I hired a private investigator, desperate for answers, and what he uncovered was horrifying. Jessica had been running a sophisticated identity theft ring. She'd been opening credit cards in wealthy clients' names, making large purchases, and then selling the items for cash. The investigator estimated she had stolen over $200,000 this way. My sister, the one I had trusted, had been living a life of crime. I had a choice to make: confront Jessica privately and give her a chance to come clean, or take everything I had learned to the police. I chose the first option, hoping against hope that she might admit the truth. I invited her to meet me at our parents' house, with them present, thinking this might give her the support she needed to come forward. To my surprise, she agreed. We all gathered in the living room. I laid everything out before her: the fake necklace, the job she had lost, the jewelry she'd pawned, the identity theft. I had documentation for every single piece of evidence, all thanks to the investigator. Jessica's face shifted from shocked disbelief to something much darker: rage. Instead of confessing, she exploded, accusing me of fabricating everything out of jealousy. Our parents stood there, bewildered, unsure of who to believe. "Just admit what you did," I begged, my voice shaking. "You can make this right before it gets worse." But Jessica wasn't interested in making things right. Instead, she spat at me. "You've always been pathetic. No one will believe you over me. No one ever has." She was right about one thing. Our parents still hesitated. They wanted to believe their golden child, the one they had always favored. They hesitated because they couldn't fathom the truth. I had to push harder. "The police are on their way," I said quietly, showing them the evidence I had compiled. "I filed a report this morning. They'll be here any minute to ask you some questions." Jessica's face drained of color. She glanced nervously at the door before bolting, pushing past me and running outside. We heard her car start and speed off. My parents stood frozen in shock. "You called the police on your sister?" my mom asked, horrified. "No," I replied, the words heavy with finality. "But I will if she doesn't turn herself in. She's committed serious crimes, and she tried to frame me. This isn't a misunderstanding. She's hurt people." It took hours to convince my parents that I was telling the truth. They kept making excuses for Jessica, suggesting there must be some misunderstanding. It wasn't until I showed them the credit card statements in our mother's name, a credit card she had never opened, that they finally began to understand the reality of the situation. The truth was undeniable. Jessica disappeared for 3 days. During that time, 2 detectives arrived at our parents' house to ask questions. Apparently, her former employer had finally pieced together the identity theft and reported it to the authorities. They had independent evidence linking Jessica to the crimes, separate from anything I had discovered. On the 4th day, we got the call. Jessica had been arrested while trying to cross the state line with a fake ID and $30,000 in cash. She was facing multiple felony charges. The aftermath was devastating. Our family was torn apart. My parents' marriage, already strained, couldn't survive the truth. Dad moved out, unable to forgive Mom for enabling Jessica's behavior all those years. Mom spiraled into depression, blaming herself for not seeing the signs sooner. As for me, I was finally vindicated, but the victory felt hollow. I had lost my sister, watched my parents' marriage collapse, and gained the label of the family member who sent Jessica to prison, even though she had done that to herself. In a strange twist, Ethan and I became friends through the ordeal. He, too, had been a victim of Jessica's lies, emotionally and financially manipulated throughout their relationship. We supported each other through the chaos, through the trials, through the media attention. Jessica was eventually sentenced to 7 years in prison. She never apologized or admitted wrongdoing, not to me, not to our parents. The last thing she said to me in court was, "You'll always be nothing compared to me." Maybe she was right in her own twisted way. I don't have a prestigious degree. I don't have a glamorous career. I'm still managing a cafe and saving up for my bakery. But there's one thing Jessica will never have: integrity. And slowly but surely, I'm rebuilding my life on my own terms. Sometimes I visit Jessica in prison. She refuses to see me. Maybe that's for the best. Some betrayals can never be forgiven. Some sisters were never really sisters at all. As for my parents, they are trying to rebuild, to make amends for years of favoritism. It's a slow process, but one we have to go through if we ever hope to heal. If there's one lesson I've learned through all this, it's that appearances can be deceiving. The perfect daughter, the one everyone looked up to, was living a lie so deep she drowned in it. And me, the family disappointment, the one who always felt like I was never enough.